afternoon, evening, whenever it is you're watching this, just felt the need to take some time out to talk and give everybody that views Tony's pages and social media and the internet the opportunity to understand exactly where we are, what's going on in the Hempstead School District, and exactly what the video was really about pertaining to my interaction with the Village of Hempstead Police Department. Let me start off by saying that the Village of Hempstead Police Department was not the problem here. I stated that previously in conversation, in chat, in text, and in social media post. When the police are called, they have an obligation to respond and to assess the situation and determine exactly what they should do next. And that's exactly what happens here. I think the bigger problem is the people that called the police. I think that when you have a school setting or a public setting, a government setting, and citizens are engaging in their rights to be a part of an act of civil disobedience, and your first reaction is to call the police on them, we're at a really sad state. Prior to the video, there was a set of circumstances that took place that led to the superintendent of schools, Dr. Shimon Warnaker, making the decision to call the local police department. Dr. Warnaker announced to the public that he had formed transition teams, and the transition team was going to be held by a group of affluential people, as he considered them to be, and they were going to come into Hempstead and they were going to do studies and assessments and determine where we should go next. It was troubling to all of us in the audience for many reasons. None of us knew of these transition team forming. No parent, taxpayer, stakeholder was given the opportunity to ask to serve on these transition teams. And then the announcement was, and if you are a community member, the only way you can serve is if you have children that attend the public schools. So a taxpayer that pays, $21,000 a year in taxes, $5,000 a year in taxes. If you choose to send your children to public schools, to private schools, because the schools are failing, so you can't serve on these committees. You know, none of the people. Then there's a list of people on the committee that he had selected, and none of them have children in the schools. Mostly employees, former employees, and people that he considered to be educational experts. The parents in the audience, myself, community members, was enraged. There was heckling, there was boos, there was disdain. People are just not satisfied with the way things are going. And his response was to call the police. The police was called because he's hired these four or five, I'm not sure, young ladies at $135,000 apiece. That's $540,000 a year, not including their benefits. And he's calling them master teachers. And they don't have over 10 years experience teaching anything. He's saying that they come from a model that he designed that is extremely effective. And the problem is that we, the community, we know the difference. If you look at recent news articles, as old as 2013 and as recent as 2017, Shimon Warnaker is believed to not have any success. This model was in the New York City schools, and it said New York City has the Daily News reported, New York City has slammed the brakes on a plan to expand the much-heralded Brooklyn Elementary Academy after less than 10% of the first class of third graders passed the state exam. That means that 9 out of 10 children failed the assessment. This is the model that the Hempstead School District has bought into. Master teachers are paid more than $125,000 a year to help less experienced colleagues. Well, in Hempstead, the majority of our teachers have way over 10 years experience. So how are these young ladies going to enter a classroom and supervise, train, mentor people that have been doing the jobs more than them? Now I know people are going to say, but look at the scores, the kids are failing, we need to try something new. And I agree, I'm all for that. But we also are at a state where we can't have on-the-job training. It's like Dr. Warnaker explains that these ladies are going to be providing all of this instructional support to our middle school, which is in dire need of it. I wholeheartedly agree. Not one of these young ladies hold an educational certification to provide any services or instruction to middle school children. So in selecting these master teachers, even if this was the model that we were going to go with, which clearly it is, the board approved it, they're making their money, they're doing what they have to do, why not get people that is certified and qualified to work in the area that you're going to have them in? Is this really a gift? Is this the reason that these 4 young ladies have to come and work in Hempstead is because another school that Dr. Shimon Warnaker is over, effective June 13th, is closing its doors due to low enrollment and a lack of interest from the community? See, they'll present that parents bought into this model, parents supported the initiatives and the change she's making, but the news articles and the educational-based articles tell us all something different. I have 5 different news sources from the time this model was created up until 3 weeks ago that indicate that this is not a successful plan. So this is not Thomas Parsley picking on the new superintendent and going after the Board of Education. My thing is this: had they properly vetted this superintendent, or maybe did a simple Google search, as I did, they would have discovered this. 21st century sees poor exam results. Then they would have saw something that's even more troubling. When questioned as to why the children weren't successful and why the model didn't work, Shimon Warnaker stated the following: many of the children have had a year in what I would call a state of nature. People who live under no civilization. Meaning that the reason the kids can't learn is because they don't come from civilized homes. That is not my statement. That is the statement of Shimon Warnaker according to a New York Times expose written by Joel Chatzley. So they're angry at a person like me and the parents that I travel with because we're challenging them. We're saying, prove to us, based upon documentation, data, and statistics, that the $450,000 that we just gave you, not including the salaries of these master teachers, are worth the money. Because all the information tells you something different. See, people want to say, oh, well, Thomas was on the school board, and when he was on the board, this was this and this was that. And I'll give them that. There was plenty of mistakes made. I've never denied that. But the people on the board that hold the majority now, which is Torrey and Jackson, and then their purported trustee, who's not really a trustee, Crossan, said they were going to do something different. They spoke about transparency, community support, the need to involve the people. So why is it that they formulate these committees to transition our school district and they don't want to allow community people on it? What do they have to hide? Why is it that they were holding their superintendent interviews in Melville? What do they have to hide? You know, they got their people saying, but when Betty Cross was around, it was the worst. Ms. Cross has been off the board since 2014. 3 years later, student achievement is at an all-time low. Now, okay, the first year we wouldn't have seen any results under Torrey and Jackson. But we have enough time now to see something. And you know what we've seen? We've seen us have a high school and a middle school under receivership to now be in a school district soon to be under receivership. The talks of all of our elementary schools now being under receivership. And what receivership is ultimately saying that locally we can't control our schools because we made piss poor decisions. So under this regime, things have gone from bad to extremely worse. And then they hired this. And when the parents are raising concerns and saying, wait a minute, did you read? Did you read that only 2% of the children passed the assessment? He's talking about bringing in the New York City Leadership Academy. That's another group that he belongs to. And they're saying I'm the problem because I guess I know how to read. But according to the document, the Leadership Academy disregards the safeguards of its own contract and procurement rules. Principals receive training in the Leadership Training Academy, and I'm looking for what it said exactly. Let me make sure I quote it right. Extreme misconduct are the words used. Teachers are sanctioned with grade fixing, credit scheming, Regents exam cheating, and retaliation against whistleblowing. This is the type of behavior that's cited in an article that came out in the New York Post yesterday. No, excuse me. Today. I stand corrected. It says that the Academy, founded in 2003, has become notorious for grading inept and sometimes corrupt principals with little teaching experience. Its leadership coaches, mostly retired principals, have also been hired in a 3-year renewal program, and they show meek academic gains. Meek, which means not good. So they want to remove the parents and me because we're challenging them as they bring the failure to here. We don't need any more. We have enough, especially when you're a superintendent that has a base contract with a salary of $265,000 a year. You get an additional 875 plus 15. So you get an additional $8,100 a year for your contract. Vacation leave, half days on Fridays for religious beliefs. I understand and respect that. By all means, I don't think that's a problem. Bereavement for anyone in his family or white family desire. Health and dental insurance at 100% paid for by the taxpayers for him and all his dependents, and there's no stipulation of what the dependents are. $5,000 a year for disability. They pay all of his association dues. If he did anything, he got hurt or whatever, he's 100% indemnified. An additional $2,500 for a personal computer, a private bathroom, paid affiliations and supports to anyone, any organizations he chooses to belong to. So let's do the math here. Let's do the math here. We got a car allowance, we got a vacation time. So he makes $265,000. I'll be modest and I'll add another $35,000 a year for benefits because the car is already $8,000 by itself. So we add another $3,500. So let's just say this is a $300,000 guy. According to the internet, he is the CEO and founder of the New American Initiative. His second meeting here, he makes a recommendation as the chief financial officer to enter a contract with this initiative for an additional $450,000. That's $750,000 in less than 30 days. 30, okay? But I'm the problem. Yeah, sure. Then he picks his hand-picked, his cronies, whatever it is, whatever word you want to call them, his definition of expert that bring results like this. You know, because this is not me making it up. I could provide this proof at any time. Hopefully it'll be up on the screen when this video comes out. At $135,000 a piece, that's $540,000 on top of the $750,000. That is $1,290,000. But he is upset because parents and people that fit the bills are angry. Mind you, not 1 ounce of this was budgeted. The issue that he had with me was I simply said, you hired these young ladies, and I don't encourage nobody to lose their job. You hired these young ladies, and the resolution used on the board agenda to hire them indicates that their employment was contingent upon grant approval. We've learned that the grant funder says that's not an allowable expense. So where's the money coming from? And if their employment based upon their hiring was contingent upon grant approval, then they're not supposed to be here because the grant said they're not approved. And the police get called. Yeah, maybe I yelled. Not maybe I yelled, I did. Somebody said, why are you so angry? Why are you so outraged? I'm trying to figure out why everybody isn't outraged. I'm trying to figure out when will we as a people stop it? You know, you can't make this about Betty Cross. She not nowhere on the scene. Nowhere. And most importantly, there's no proof of this type of theft, which I believe it to be, alleged, because I don't want to get no papers. I give papers, I don't want to get none. Alleged theft Had Ms. Cross, myself, or any of Maribel Torres' predecessors had made this type of move, all hell would be breaking loose around here. What we as a community need to understand is this is not a poor community. It may serve a poor population of people, but this school budget is $212 million easy, not including some grants. The village of Hempstead has another $90 million operation. This is a $300 million community, and these people, since he calls us these people, it's him and his people, they want it. They've come for it, and they got a board majority that's sitting idle. They're so out of control that they stole an election to do it. You remove a man in the hospital, and I'm not going to spend much time talking about the matter with Trustee Johnson. He is a trustee, other than to say that we've challenged that. It's in Albany. I've been known to call it exactly like it is, so I'm going to do that right here, right now. The Commission of Education has a practice of not doing anything. She has a practice of when she gets these challenges, our challenges was like 2,000 pages thick, of just sitting on it. So I need everybody that inboxed me, that texted me, that reached out to my sisters and my cousins and my group H4H. I need everyone who did that. All 3,000 of you, plus, that has watched this video. There's going to be a phone number and a name that flashes across this screen, and we need to flood that office. And if we start walking to your door and asking you to sign petitions, or if we're taking a bus to Albany, we as a community need to get on the bus, and we need to tell the commissioner, not here. If they didn't like Lamont Johnson, they should have did what they did to Ms. Cross, win an election and remove him. That's the way it works. That's the way this works. So I wanted people to know the fight. The fight is over our resources. This is much deeper. They don't care about educating your children. They don't care about that. They want the riches of this community. $300 million, people. And this is the person that they sent to get it. And the people on the board, clearly, not all the people, Trustee Stiff is new, Dr. Gates voted against it, and people will say, oh, I'm only saying that because I ran their campaign. I picked the right people, clearly. I did. I picked people that are from Hempstead, about Hempstead, Hempstead for Hempstead. Not to say that people from other places that migrate here can't help. I don't live here any longer, but I'm still involved. But had they done their due diligence, these articles came 4/26. These are all articles before Shimon was hired, other than this one, which was done 2 days ago. Oh, and this one that was done today. This was done June 13th. This was done. All these other articles were all before Shimon was hired. And someone's saying, well, why don't you all work with him? Why don't you give him a chance? But nobody will tell that me and my group went and held an hour-and-a-half long meeting with him. And we listened to him. And we told him that chance will be given. And then in the next board meeting, he puts his own resolution on the docket to give himself $450,000 and get mad when we call it a conflict of interest. Really? So he's not being honest. And then the most troubling part is this meeting at the Hispanic community. I have text messages. Trustee Stiff has emails. Dr. Trustee Gates has emails. Trustee Johnson about this meeting. This superintendent had the unmitigated gall to call a community meeting only for Latino parents, speak in his native tongue, and make the most divisive, racially charged statements ever. We have at least 10 parents that reached out to us that are willing to come to the front line and testify. 2 of them texted me yesterday and said, when is the meeting? And I'll come and I'll repeat what he said. There's more of us than them. Who's them? If an African-American or Caucasian teacher does anything, or any staff member does anything to a Latino child, you all are my eyes and ears. You come to me and I'll fire them. Melissa should have never won. It's more of us than them. This is what he said. We got to make sure we get them other 2 going. 2 ladies came and got me, and one's going and one's still here. There's a clergy on the board, and he doesn't support Spanish people. How do you know that, Shimon? But most importantly, you're the chief instructional leader. Not once have we had complaints of prejudice coming from our teachers to the students. We don't have those problems. Yes, we've had some tense race relations, But we don't have those problems. And let me be clear. To purport that me and my group is racist, anti-Semitic, or any of the above is an absolute farce. The truth is, yes, I want African American children to prosper. Yes, I want children to look like me to learn how to read. But I would dare not support anything, lead anything, or be part of anything that would see any Latino child lack. The bottom line is, this is not about educating children. This is about $450,000, $300,000, $540,000, and the number keeps growing. This transition team has some of the greatest charter school gurus and public education takeovers you've ever seen. People, we up against a major enemy. They want this place. I didn't realize that it was that strong until I saw that list of names. So what I'm going to tell you all is this. I'm going to wrap up here. Please call the phone number that's flashing up on the screen. Encourage the commissioner to rule as a member of this community. Rule on the facts based upon the written evidence. She's supposed to issue a ruling. Well, they have until the 13th of August to reply, so we should have a ruling sometime after that, because she has a history of not ruling. She just waits until it's too late, and then she'll say something like, this is mute or whatever. If you see your elected officials, be it Deputy Speaker Hooper or Senator Hannon in passing, tell them to stand up for Hempstead schools. The Deputy Speaker has been in conversations with us, and we appreciate that, as has Senator Hannon. But tell them, I live here. I don't attend school board meetings regularly. I do attend school board meetings regularly, but I'm concerned. Do the right thing in Hempstead. Step up. Step up. Because I say confidently that if we could get a ruling based upon right and wrong, things will rule in our favor. Once again, before this is the end, yesterday, all of the, somebody texted me and said, listen, if something would have happened, I don't even know the person, I would have came and got you. Things like that really, really do feel good, because with me, it seems like the first thing they do is try to run for the handcuffs. So I appreciate your well wishes. I appreciate, it was hundreds of people. I'm not on Facebook as active as I used to be, but people found me on Instagram and Snapchat, and my sisters and my family, and we appreciate that. Hempstead for Hempstead appreciates that. My ladies aren't with me, but we stand together on all matters. And I was talking with them throughout the day yesterday before I did this today, and sending out the messages to them. I'm not in this by myself. I have great people. I have great support. I'm just the person that stands in the front at times. These parents, because that's who I'm with. I'm with parents that send their children to these schools. Taxpayers who are overburdened, and some was on the verge of losing their home. We thank you all for noticing that we're out here fighting. But now it's time for you all to join us. We can't do it alone. We need to pack a school board meeting and tell this superintendent and this Board of Education that we won't be divided. Thank you.